All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Marakal Quadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect, the Bayath, Dawadah, the house of David. All right, we're just going to get right into it. All right, so we got this here. Right here it says military and defense. It says the Pentagon says China has fielded a new long-range missile. Here's why the DF-27, excuse me, Salakia, is unusual. All right. It says China's new intercontinental ballistic missile, the DF-27, has been fielded. The Pentagon reports. It says the weapon, which has confirmed conventional role, can range much of the Pacific and the U.S. It says the long-range DF-27 is said to be an option for both land attack and anti-ship missions. Right? It says China appears to have fielded a new intercontinental ballistic missile, the DF-27, which can range the continental U.S. and, unlike other Icbm missiles, which are intercontinental ballistic missiles, it says serve a mix of missions. It says including targeting ships. It says a new Pentagon report says. It says Department of Defense annual report on the Chinese military, the latest of which came out last week, is the first public assessment that the missile is operational. It says the missile is said to have a land attack and anti-ship role. It says the latter role is unusual for an intercontinental range ballistic missile and is a conventional strike role documented in the new Pentagon report ICBMs and primarily for nuclear strike. It says the latest report offers little on a new missile beyond a map showing China's field conventional strike. It says the DF-27, identified as an ICBM, it says which is a range of 5,000 to 8,000 km or kilometers, right? It says shorter than some other systems built for strategic nuclear strike, is a new addition to the map showing Chinese missile ranges. It says the range completely covers Hawaii, Alaska, and it extends into parts of the continental U.S. All right. It says the extract range might vary depending on the launch site, but broadly, the weapon puts naval forces and U.S. military installations across the Pacific at risk in a new way. Oof. It says a long-range DF-27 missile was first mentioned in the 2021 Pentagon report. It is said that the indications on the range hinted at either an intercontinental or an intermediate range missile. It says that uncertainty persisted until the 2025 report identified it as an ICBM. It says the 2024 Pentagon report notably offered that most details, stating that the DF-27 has been deployed to the rocket force. It says it added that the weapon is likely has an option for a HGV or a hypersonic glide vehicle, as well as a conventional, all right, a conventional land attack. It says a conventional anti-ship and nuclear capabilities. It says the 2025 report, however, did not put the weapon under a field nuclear capabilities. It says according to the Missile Defense Advocacy Alliance, it says the DF-27 carries potentially significant strategic implications. It says in early assessments of the Chinese missile published 2 years ago, it says the group cited a leaked intelligence briefing indicating that the missile was tested February 2023 and warned that it could give China another means to hold targets at risk beyond the second island chain, which high likelihood of being able to penetrate U.S. ballistic missile defenses. It says, and the potential to serve as a carrier killer. It says China has not publicly commented on the DF-27 through a local media have times approached the topic indirectly. It says, and as you can see, you got a little, that up there, right there. All right, land attack. As you can see right there, right. It says, let's go back. It says, fielding the new DF-27 makes China the first to have an operational conventional armed Icbm. It says the U.S. and Russia have not fielded similar capabilities, however, but have been pursuing new and intermediate range capabilities since the collapse of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. It says, which the U.S. walked away from in 2019 after accusing Russia of non-compliance. Right? It says the DF-27 is the latest example of Chinese efforts to develop and field varied, flexible strike options for a potential conflict. It says the missile branch of its military, called the People's Liberation Army's rocket force, has grown exponentially. It says a Chinese military doctrine emphasizes the need for its poses the ability to quickly, precisely, and in some cases promptly strike targets. It says with the new DF-27 Icbm, it says China become the first to field an analogous, right? It says capability, right? Analogous capability. It says a conventional Icbm with the ASBM variant. It says that can conduct a rapid, long-range precision strikes out of intercontinental distances, including against its strong enemy's homeland and its naval forces at sea. Andrew Erickson, right, a professor at the U.S. Naval War College's China's Maritime Studies Institute, right, last week. It says, let me see which more. Okay, we got a little bit more. All right, it says since the Pentagon's annual reports cover only developments from the previous year, the newest one doesn't include other notable missiles developments in China. It says from the year, and an important development in September was Beijing's reveal of the DF-61 and DF-31BJ. It says both ICBMs at a military parade. It says it's unclear whether these missiles are operational, but even if they're still in development, the implications of the presentation in Chinese capital are that these missiles will eventually be additions to China's already sizable land-based Icbm arsenal. All right, so let's get this here. This is Proverbs 21:1. It says the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh. It says as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. All right, let me get Isaiah 54. Isaiah 54 in verse number 16. It says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument. What's the instrument? The instrument is for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai's work. Right? That's why these intercontinental long-range ballistic or intermediate ballistic intercontinental missiles, right, are being created. You see? Because a smith is a weapons maker, a creation of metals and many different other things like that, and dealing with elements and things of that nature. You see? Right? So these missiles are created for the day of the destruction. Right? Okay? A day that shall burn as a what? As an oven. Okay? Let me get that. Let me see. Salakia. Oh, there it is right there. In Malachi 4:1, Salakia. It says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And it says, in that day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that they shall leave them nor root nor branch." You see? All right? So these missiles that are being created are going to be created for the day, to waste this place, to turn this place into a desert. Talking about Babylon the Great. You see, that's why these missiles are being created, right? And ultimately being created for what? World War III, which is the waster, which is going to waste this place. Those missiles are going to waste this place away. You see, these are instruments that the Most High, right? Because Yahweh B'Ashem Yahushua is in control of this movie. You see? So this is what's going on. Let's go here to Joel, the 3rd chapter, and let's go to the 9th verse. Right? It says, "Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men." And they're being woken up, right? With their creation of what these missiles, these many different hypersonic missiles and so on and so forth, man. Right? It says, "Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up," right? Because there's a lot of rumors of wars going on, right? It says, "Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am strong," right? And that's what we're hearing. We're hearing about rumors of wars and things going on, right? Okay, we see this here. Right, so this is Matthew 24:6. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Right, so we know we got to go into what? Jacob's trouble. We know World War III is what is as soon as that mark of the beast, which is the MOTB, is implemented, man. You see? Because these devils want to push off this what? These smart cities, these RFID microchips, these NFC microchips, right? Hook you up to a technocratical world. You see? Okay? CRISPR gene editing, you know? CBDC, central bank digital currencies, right? Hook you up to a chip, give you, pay you off of what your emotions, your senses, and your frequencies, and so on and so forth, man. You see? But as we can see what's going on, we see the wars and we see the things that is going on. Let me read Luke 21:9. It says, "But when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet. But the end is not by and by." You see, but the end is not by and by. There you go. Right? So we see all these things getting ready to come to pass. We just wanted to bring this video out real quick. You know, so with that, we're going to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Harakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone Ruel. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect, the Bayach, Dawadah, the house of David. Shalom.